All right, welcome back everybody. Today we are starting chapter 8. So we are starting off with 8.1, which are factors and greatest common factors. So our goal today is find the GCF, or greatest common factor, of different monomials. So to find the factors of a number means we are finding two numbers that multiply to equal that number. So our example, the factors of 12, we have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. All right, each of those sets you can multiply together and you will get back to 12, which is what we started with. So factors, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to be our number. So factors of 16, I could say 1 and 16. All right, let's try 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I could say 2 and 8. Let's try 3. 3 doesn't go into 16, so 3 is not a factor. 4 is a factor. 16 divided by 4 is 4, so 4 and 4. 5 doesn't go into 16. 6 doesn't go into 16. 7 doesn't go into 16. But 8 does. But remember, we already counted 8 and 2, so we don't want to double up. All right, so those are the factors of 16. 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. All right, factors of 40. 40 and 1. All right, 2 goes into 40. 40 divided by 2 is 20. So 2 and 20. So now let's check. Does 3 go in? So I would do 40 divided by 3, and I get 13.333 repeating, so that's not going to work. But I know 4 goes into 40 10 times, so I could say 4 and 10. Since 40 ends in a 0 or a 5, I know that 5 goes into it. So 40 divided by 5 is 8, so we have 5 and 8. 6 does not go evenly into 40. 7 does not go evenly into 40. All right, so we get back to 8. But we already know 8 goes in there 5 times, so we don't need to write it out again. And once we start doubling up, we know we've hit them all. So 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 and 10, 5 and 8. Those are all of our factors. So moving on, factors that are shared by 2 or more whole numbers are called common factors. The greatest of these common factors is called the greatest common factor. So basically what that states, so we want to look for the biggest factor of 26 and the biggest factor of 52 for our first example. All right, so factors of 26. I have 1 and 26, 2 and 13, 3 does not go into 26, 4 does not go into 26, 5 does not go into 26, 6 does not go into 26, 7 doesn't go into 26, 8 doesn't go into 26, 9 doesn't go into 26, 10 doesn't go into 26, 11 doesn't, and neither does 12, and that gets us back to 13. So now we've hit all of our factors for 26. So if we go to 52, I have 1 and 52, 2 and 26. 52 is not divisible by 3, but it is by 4, so 4 and 13. It's not divisible by 5, or 6, or 7, or 8, or 9. It's not divisible by 10, or 11, or 12. And again, that gets us back to 13, so we know we've hit all of our factors. So we have a couple factors in common. 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 13 and 13, and then 26 and 26. All right, so those are all of our factors, but the GCF, we want the biggest one, so that one would be 26. All right, factors of 100. 1 and 100. 2 and 50. 3 does not go into 100, but 4 and 25 do. 5 and 20. 6 does not go into 100 evenly. 7 does not go into 100 evenly. 8 does not go into 100 evenly, and neither does 9. But 10 does, so I could say 10 and 10. All right, and since these two match 10 and 10, I know I've hit every possible outcome. All right, 11 doesn't go into 100. 12 doesn't go into 100. 13 doesn't. 14 doesn't. 15 doesn't. 16 doesn't. 17 doesn't. 18 doesn't. 19 doesn't. 20 doesn't. Or 20 does, but we've already counted it. So again, because 10 and 10 are the same value, we know we've hit all of our factors. So factors of 60, I have 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, what is that, 5 and 12, and then 6 and 10, 7 doesn't go into 60, 8 doesn't go into 60, 9 doesn't go into 60, and 10 we've already counted, so we know we have all of our factors. So let's highlight the common factors. 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 5 and 5, 4 and 4, 10 and 10, 20 and 20. I think that's all that they have in common. So if you're looking for the GCF, the greatest one of these, 20 and 20. So 20 is our GCF. All right, now these last two might be a little different because now we have numbers and variables. Variables can absolutely be part of the GCF. So I'm going to start just by looking at 15 and listing off my factors. All right, 1 and 15, 3 and 5, and that's it. My factors of 9, 1 and 9, 3 and 3. So our GCF is 3. All right. Now, the other thing, x cubed is the same as x times x times x. X squared is the same as x times x. So I could also claim that an x times x is something that they have in common. All right. So now everything that they have in common is 3 times x and x, or in other words, 3x squared. All right, so we can find a 3x squared in each of these. All right, let's look at our factors of 27. And since we have x squared, we know we have an x and an x. All right, we got 1 and 27, 3 and 9. I think that's it. So if we look at 45x cubed y, 1 and 45, 3 and 15, 5 and 9. I believe that is it. So our numerical GCF is 9, but x squared is x times x. X cubed y is x times x times x times y. So I'm going to take an x and an x and an x and an x out. So my GCF, whoops, let's get back to our pen. The GCF is 9x times x, or 9x squared. All right, so the number part, you're trying to find the common factors. The variable part, you're trying to figure out how many of those variables do they have in common, and that's how many we can pull out. All right, so x cubed has at least 2 x's in it, so we can take 2 out, and that would leave us with 1. All right, so that's it for today. Good job on 8.1, factors and greatest common factors.